Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for this panel session this afternoon. 3 o'clock is a tough time, I know. So we're here to talk about food waste. We've called the session There Is No Planet B. And we're going to be talking about how the industry is dealing with the challenge of food waste. We're very grateful to InSinkErator for sponsoring this session, and very grateful to Phillip from Ricca in the US, who's kindly joining us today as well to talk about this issue. So I would like to first, maybe if you could introduce yourselves a little bit, tell us about your experience, your area of expertise, and then we'll dig into it.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Phillip Landgraf. I'm an executive principal with Ricca Design Studios. I'm based in our Denver, Colorado office, but we have offices all around the U.S. We have an office in Riyadh, and then offices in China as well. And for me, I love the diversity of projects, so I specialize in anything commercial, from higher education, healthcare, institutional, public assembly, stadiums, arenas, convention centers. I love doing it all, so I enjoy that.
Brilliant, thank you. And Mohamed?
Hi, I'm Mohamed Karam. I am a Senior Business Development Manager for Middle East and Africa for InSinkErator. I've been in HoReCa business for around 24 years. I believe in sustainability and climate change. I think the world will end because how we treat our globe, our earth. So it's only not my job, it's also my passion.
Yeah, okay. So I think it would be helpful if we start out with kind of looking at a little bit bigger picture. We've talked about food waste for a long time. When it comes to sustainability, food waste is one of the kind of the older issues. So we've been talking about it for a long time. How do you see the issue of food waste in food service today? How much has it changed? How much of a problem is it still, Phillip?
It's certainly a problem, but I always try to encourage people to look at it from the beginning. So the more we can do to reduce food waste from the purchasing side, the consumption side, diversion to whether it's feeding the unhoused, the hungry, homeless, things like that, much more effective than dealing with it after the fact. There's nothing that we can do about the waste that's created while we're going through the preparation of things. Seeds, stems, rinds, all have to be dealt with. But the more that we can reduce the waste ahead of time, the more sustainable we can be as a globe. And so certainly there's measures you can do in design that help reduce the post-consumer waste by smaller portions, going trayless in some institutional areas. So that's wonderful. But the more that we can do to reduce waste at the source is better for sustainability all around.
Okay. And Mohamed, from the manufacturer point of view, how much of an issue is food waste?
Again, food waste, we're talking not only about the food we waste, we're talking about a lot of resources involved in this food. For example, you need almost 70 liters of water to have one apple, to grow one apple. So when you sow one apple, is not only the apple you sow, it's a number of liters or number of resources between growing, transportation, and storage, and serving it. So that's why we try to educate people now to understand it's not only the waste of the apple, it's the all resources involved on this one. Recently, we've seen a lot of institutions, a lot of company and government start to realize how big the issue and start to look for solution. As mentioned earlier, we are one of the solution, and Phillip mentioned is many ways we can reduce and reuse this kind of food waste.
Yeah. And Phillip, you as a consultant, a big part of your job when you deal with clients is surely as an educator to make sure that your clients know what the situation is, how they can do better, and importantly, how they can save money, because really it's about money, isn't it? Do you think the industry has got better? Is there better understanding, a better awareness?
I think in general there is. I think that's definitely, like you said, a role of consultancy is to educate our clients because they don't do design every day. So many of our clients do one design in their entire lives. So we can certainly help educate them into the different options that are out there And what I find best is to understand what their sustainability goals are at the beginning of the project. So when we kick off a project, that's always a conversation to understand what their goals are, and then try to come up with solutions that really help support those goals. And we use those as sort of a guiding map to make sure that we're making the right choices along the way. But what's also really important is to understand what solutions are at the end. So, we were talking earlier that anaerobic digestion is wonderful for cogeneration of energy. But if you don't have a facility within 100 miles or 200 kilometers of wherever you are producing the waste, now that requires additional transportation, additional fuel, which makes it a less sustainable option. So understanding what is around you and the infrastructure that's available is super important to find a solution that works for everyone. There is no one size fits all solution when it comes to waste.
Yeah, you said just now that you encourage the clients to make the right choices. What are the right choices? Could you give some examples?
Certainly. We recently completed a study with the University of Colorado Boulder, who originally had installed a digester system, had it for a number of years. The company went out of business, so they no longer had part support, support to get the enzymes that they need to keep the system running. And so they need a replacement solution. So we looked at everything from pulpers to newer technology digesters, dehydrators, cogeneration, and then even looking at disposers and things. So basically what we found was the situation I said earlier, where they had no anaerobic digestion within 100 miles. So to them, that's not a great solution. They have a wonderful composting partner that they're working with on the rest of the campus. And so we developed a solution with them to support the composting, which was the right solution for them at the time.
Okay. Mohamed, from the manufacturing perspective, do you have to do a lot of education still to people, or is there a more general understanding, a more widespread understanding that this is an issue that needs to be dealt with?
For sure, awareness is the main challenge we're facing every day for this issue. But if you look 10, 15 years back and today, there's a lot of improvement, but it's still people, they don't understand the impact they do with the food waste. Your burger take around 2,400 liters to have this burger sandwich, to grow the wheat, to drink with the cow, so is a lot of details. What recently was climate change, was a disaster, we start to see it everywhere, was economical and life cost. Company, government, institutions start to realize this one. It doesn't make our job easier, but again, people have to understand, as Phillip said, it's not one solution. It's all about lifestyle, and in each step of preparation, operation, and service, how we can reduce, reuse, and recycle. And re-innovate as well, which is our part come. Now we can see the environmental responsibility start to be part of wish list. Like when you travel, some customers start to look where they have less impact or less carbon emission. For restaurant and menus, start to look for this one. And hopefully with the time, this culture or this mindset will grow, so it will help all of us.
Yeah. Phillip, do you see a change in the attitude from a new demographic? How much does the attitudes of the younger consumers, the demands they have on what they expect, how much does that influence on how the operators deal with this?
Certainly, the younger demographic really has seen the effects of climate change. And so they are really making their purchasing choices based on a lot of their core values, and that being one of them. So, we saw a lot of trends for sustainable foods, local producers, things like that. And that's also translating it on the waste side of things. So, reducing the amount of to-go containers or using a sustainable type of to-go container is certainly there. Choosing restaurants that utilize the whole animal, as part of their cooking procedures. Those are all trends that we see across. In college and universities, for example, we'll have multiple dining halls. They'll do a competition to see who can reduce food waste by tracking it. So there's a lot of great solutions out there to encourage people to make smart choices, to consume less, and thus, ultimately waste less at the end of the day.
Just staying with you, Philip, and I mean the question will apply to you as well, Mohamed, because you're both people who deal with different countries in different parts of the world. So you obviously you deal with the US market, but you also deal with the Middle Eastern market. Do you see a big difference in the attitudes to food waste and the kind of the strategies that I have in place?
I think everyone understands that food waste is a problem, so I think the attitudes are generally similar, and folks are more aligned, trying to make a more sustainable solution for the planet. But the solutions are often different, like I said, because there's infrastructure challenges in different parts of the world. So, example, in the U.S., anaerobic digestion has not really become very widespread popular there, whereas in other countries that are developing new technologies, putting huge infrastructure dollars to use, are choosing more sustainable solutions. And even the facilities that have it there might not have the ability to accept it from an outside source. So they may be taking it through a sewer system and co-generating energy there, but they're not set up to take it directly from a consumer directly to their facility. So it's really developing and pressuring those infrastructure systems to adapt, to accept more sustainable solutions from the consumer directly is my hope and desire.
Do you have to use a different carrot, so to speak, in different places? Are there different ways to persuade them?
The most persuasive one tends to be legislation, in all honesty. So, incentives are great, but more often than not, it takes legislation to make change. So areas like California, Massachusetts are requiring folks to have a food waste program. Most often it tends to be composting, but at least to participate in that and then provide the infrastructure, the collection, the different bins and all of that to support it. And of course that comes with a cost, additional taxes and all those, and then penalties for non-compliance as well. Right. So it's a little more stick than carrot often that gets people to make significant change.
And also this to each market, food related to culture. If they cook more at home, they do preparation more, and also the amount of food gets served. For example, if you talk about Middle East, one of the highest producer for food waste per capita, because food is part of generosity or how to show your respect and love to the guests. So you have to put more food and to serve more food. Some occasionally, and if you're talking about Ramadan time, everybody go for buffet, so you can see amount of food waste increase around 20 to 25%. So that again, it makes a solution, and we have to be more resilient for the solution for every market based on how big the operation and custom and tradition of that market.
How do you deal with those changes when you help clients? How do you help them manage that fluctuation?
Again, first, I tell the client we are not magician. We will not turn. Don't have the steak and then we'll turn everything. Will be good. We tell him first we have to understand your operation. You have 3 areas: receiving, preparation, and serving. And then based on this one, we start to tackle the big chunk first, and then we go to the smaller one. But most important is the awareness, is the education. We ask the chef, we ask the staff, if you have this situation, you will throw it or you will reuse it. It's more about the behavior every day we are doing it. It's not our machine or our solution will solve it. No, it's the behavior of the staff. They believe they can or they have to do impact in terms of reducing cost, impact on the environment. This is what we try to teach them first. And then our solution will be part of the cycle.
I mean, the title of this session is No Planet B. What is the true impact of a lack of action?
I mean, we're seeing it in our day-to-day lives. I mean, I hate to say, but climate change is real, and so it's affecting us. Sea levels rising, temperatures rising, farmland turning to dust. It's something that is affecting all of humankind, and so we really need to be responsible with the resources that we have and take this seriously. And like I said, in some ways, it's the stick more than the carrot that is getting people to make change, but it's not an option anymore. I mean, it's something we have to take care of. You know, as a father, I feel social responsibility for that, but you look at all the different people across the world and children, and are we actually leaving the planet in a better place than when we got it? And unfortunately, I think the overall answer is no. But I think there are solutions and technologies that we can develop to at least limit our impact, if not reduce what our impact is, and hopefully eventually reduce some of it or reverse some of it in some cases.
Yeah. Mohamed?
I could say terrain is already left. We are living in the same globe. Nobody will survive alone. So it doesn't mean your home clean, the other home will not be not clean. So as all of us has a social responsibility, all of us should have environmental responsibility. We just rethink or think twice about all resources, not only the food, all the resources what we are using, how we make it better and how we make it more sustainable. For us, for children, girl children, at least in future, the children will not blame us. We didn't make the place better or make the globe better place to live in.
I mean, Phillip, you say that it's more sticks in terms of the legislation. So, one, do you think there should be more sticks? Should this be more heavily legislated? But also, in terms of the carrot, there must be some money incentives that people can save money.
With anything, there needs to be balance of both. So you know, take the biggest issues. You know, for those, I think the sticks are more important, the legislation to take care of the major abuses, and then the carrots for innovation and technology. Investing in all of that really helps find solutions. You know, I think probably a lot of folks have seen, you know, there's developing bacteria that now can eat plastics and things like that. So developing more sustainable packaging materials, everything that we can do to help create without destroying major societal change, asking for major societal changes, how can we just make better choices? And I think a lot of that has to do with technology and innovation. So we need investment in those areas.
Yeah. Again, we need balance, but the main challenge, especially for owners or developer, is different between initial cost and running cost. And this is what we try to explain to them or to the owner. Maybe you'll invest a big amount upfront, but you're going to save every day. So in 1 year, 2 years, your investment, it will be returned, and you will going to make money after a certain amount. And this is what we try to explain to them. It might be initial cost is higher, but daily saving is much more, or the return on this investment, it will be much more.
You need a longer term view for sure. I mean, you talk about bacteria what do you say, bacteria that eats plastic? Yes. I mean, that doesn't sound like a cheap solution.
I'm sure it isn't. I mean, I think it's only in its infancy stages, and you know, there's only certain ones it probably applies to, but I think that's just an example of areas where we can develop technologies and solutions that need more investment, more investigation.
Yeah, okay. Mohamed, speaking of technology, in terms of R&D within InSinkErator, how much is going on in that department? How much do you continuously develop?
See, as a manufacturer, as a company, every day we get calls from customer and from partners or consulting. They have an issue. And this is what inspires us to work every day to find solution for this issue. Right now, we have like a system called grind to energy, which is a more upscale or for big volume. Our team now study how to take this system outside US. We study a couple of international opportunities, so how we can add value to the customer. We keep expanding our disposal or commercial food waste system to meet different legalization and standard in different market. This is what we do on a daily basis. Again, another some project or some idea, maybe we are not in position to talk about it, but every day we get a call. With every call it has a problem, and with every problem it has a project or solution. We try to make it happen.
looking ahead to the future, Philip, from a consultant point of view, what do you see as the major challenges that we still have to overcome? What are the kind of bumps in the road that you see ahead?
I think changing attitudes and changing, what everyone's used to. Anyone trying to change a habit is very difficult, and so we rely on folks to provide innovative solutions. Like you said, I think that's the right answer to solve problems, and so that's always what we're looking for. And there's wonderful programs out there like Well and Lead and Living Building Challenge that are really helping people to think creatively and provide solutions that they can really feature in their projects. And then with the idea of that being copied over and over, so we can always learn and teach each other what our best practice is. But overall, making sure that we keep in mind what the solution is trying to change may be unique to that situation. So we always need to adapt to what conditions are around us. And so that's why I think we have a similar philosophy in that we are solution providers and thought leaders in areas like sustainability. So I think I have always a glass half full type attitude, so I think we have a positive outlook, but it won't be without our pain points for sure.
What kind of pain points?
Cost is always one of them,
Yeah.
So like you said, with any innovative technology, there's a price tag. So you mentioned everyone needs to understand operational costs and return on investment, because it doesn't make sense if you can't save money or make money at the end of the day to do it. So that's always one of them. And then there's other challenges, with making sure that the power grid can support, all the electrical demands we're doing if we're going to switch away from combustibles and all that. So there's a lot of bumps along the road, but I think we've got creative and you mentioned we need some more Steve Jobs in the world to come up with. I'm sorry if I stole your thunder. No. But I think we could all use with a lot of that really brilliance out there to come up with those solutions to get us through the bumps in the road.
Yeah. And what about you, Mohamed? What kind of challenges do you see ahead? What roadblocks are there?
I think it's always the awareness. That's why I'm happy to see younger generation hymns. They listen to us. We as a company, we have a special program for school. So we go to the kids in grade 5, 6, and 8 to explain to them about sustainability, how they can have mindset and think about the resources. And if we go back 50 years ago, our father and grandfather, they was sustainable by nature because the limited resources was available. So they always use these resources to the maximum or to get the best out of it. This is what we'd like to change now, because unfortunately recent generation is all about consuming. Everything consuming. Sit at home, he order food, it comes with packaging and many things involved in this one. So this awareness is a main challenge. Second, and this is one of the reasons we are, all of us here, is sharing information and learn from each other. We always happy to listen from our partners, from our consultants, what's wrong, how we can make it better. And also we learn from them and we teach them. So listening and collaboration and awareness are key, which will help all of us.
Do you notice a change in attitude in a younger generation? There is a more sensitivity to waste, to looking after the planet, and perhaps they might not be so worried about cost, but think actually it's not about what do we have money for, it's like what do we need to get this.
Certainly. That's a wonderful sort of inspiration when you see young folks that do that. But there is the reality that it ultimately has to pencil out. So you need to marry some of the business side of it as well as the aspirational side for sure. But I think, touting FCSI as long as I'm standing here, it's been a great vehicle for sharing those ideas and solutions and things like that. So the more participation you can get in organizations and partnerships between manufacturers, consultants, dealers, everyone to come up with the right solutions that have the right cost and can pencil out, the collaboration has gotten much better, I think.
Okay.
this is my personal opinion. It's not the company opinion. With the new generation, I think they try to evolve out of its trendy. Something trendy, we have to be part of it. It's good, but again, it's the value of saving the globe, the value of how we can make this place better for us, for grand generation and future. I think this will be the core value. Again, this is my personal view. I could be wrong, but this is interacting with many people because they do it because it's trendy, but it's not it's not the right thing.
Would you agree with that, young people? Do you do it because it's trendy?
If we put it on TikTok, they'll do it.
Well,
again, this from interact with in different countries. I could be wrong, but this is a feeling I got. Sorry if I'm wrong.
Are there any questions from the audience?
Thank you, guys. Great panel. You talked there about the kind of the inspiring views you're getting from younger people, but just as a sort of temperature test for the operators you're speaking with, Phillip, particularly, are they on board with this? Is the penny dropping that this is something we need to do for the future of the industry? It's not just about saving the planet. That's a wonderful aspiration, of course, but it makes good business sense to do this as well.
We're definitely seeing that in the corporate environment. So, there's the whole concept of corporate responsibility. It's sort of a buzzword, at least in the U.S. So we're seeing folks like Google, Amazon, Microsoft that are really going all electric, more sustainable foods, eliminating single-use plastics, things like that. So, and there is, again, a lot of pressure in the purchasing power of folks at a certain age that really direct their dollars towards companies that support good sustainable causes. So they will affect change with their dollar purchases.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Yeah.
Working, I have seen that in some culture, it's like a high society thing to waste more food. How do you face that?
This is what I was talking about culture and custom. And I'm originally from Egypt, so I have Arabic background. So part of the culture there is I have to show more. I serve more food, or I give more to show more respect and love to the guest. And how you call this? Because if I give less, it might give bad impression. So. If you talk about Gulf especially, the highest food waste per capita globally is happening in Gulf because it's part of culture. New generation, again, they are more trendy. They look for the more innovative food, more better look than the volume. So we see the reduction of waste coming from this one, and it will continue. Again, not only in Middle East, we have some culture in Central Asia. Again, it's all about serving like whole lamb or whole meal. So every culture or every tradition in every market, it takes a lot of time to change, and you see the difference on this one. It will. Our products or our ideas will not solve it always. You have to sell the mindset and culture of the generation.
It's a really good question, I think, because it is true in the high-end fine dining restaurants. They want to serve just the most delicious or the most beautiful part of the product, and the rest goes in the bin. Is that something you still see, Phillip?
I think less and less. I think, typically at the high-end restaurant world, they're really focusing on sustainability. So they're trying to repurpose whatever waste products that they have into something else. So I think that end of the industry is doing much better. At other ends, it's college and university is a great example where they've gone trayless in their all-you-care-to-eat dining halls. So when folks can only carry what they can carry in one or two hands, they tend to eat less. And we were just using the example last night at one of the parties where they had a buffet. There was a huge line, and you had to wait 10, 15 minutes to stand in line. So you took more because you didn't know how long it was going to take or if there may be any left at the end of the day. So just always having in your mind and educating people about what that is, I think is really important to make better choices. And more that we can do made to order, things like that, we're not producing in bulk and then wasting everything at the end of the day, is really helpful.
And Mohamed, you gave us a very good example of a punitive strategy for this, how to deal with it.
I visited a couple of restaurants. One of them was in Paris. They charge about the waste in your plate. They have a standard, like fixed price, all you can eat, and then each gram you waste, you have to pay for it. And I saw it also in another salad bar in London. They have the same. You can take as much as you got is fixed price. At the end, they minus the weight of the plate, whatever remaining by gram you pay for it. So we see many people start to go there first because he can pay a small amount and he eat, and then he don't like to waste. So it works both ways and it's innovative.
It is, absolutely, yeah. Maybe it's the way forward. I think there's a question at the back.
Hi, Mohamed. My questions to you. You mentioned that there is a lot of food waste in the Middle East, especially. And what is your take, like what actions to be taken to reduce this food waste, especially in Middle East, and how we can prevent? Like you also said, it cannot be majestic and we can change in a day, like we can have that. But what actions to be, or what code we have to implement, and we can reduce this kind of food waste? Yeah.
So we go back to basic: reduce, reuse, recycle. Now a lot of chefs in Middle East or working in hotel in Middle East start to find or come with an innovative way to reuse this food in different form. So if they have salad, they can reuse it in sandwich, for example, instead of sorting. Again, in decent and hygiene way, not just from our side, we go and we visit many customer and many operation, and we do assessment for them. Normally, operation you have receiving, preparation, and serving, and then we give him notes, not only with our solution as a manufacturer for one product, but we explain to them maybe in receiving you need to change the delivery time, so reduce the amount of waste between 12 hours to 8 hours. Also, we work closely with consulting companies that we share with them, and they give us ideas. Okay, guys, maybe here we should use this solution, or we have another solution based on this operation. But it's all of us work. I mean, we are one player in big team. So, as I said, the more we will talk, the more we collaborate and share information, we learn from each other, we get faster solution and the right solution for the operator.
Brilliant.
Gentlemen, with your global experience, can you tell us, just benchmarking across the globe, which are the top 3 countries or regions do you think are doing really well in the challenge of food waste? And if you can tell us maybe 1 or 2 reasons why they're in the top 3.
Would you like to start? For what I've seen, again, is personal observation, Nordic. Maybe they eat less, I don't know. But main reason is law. Or as I mentioned, you have strict law about waste, and they have they start early with notice and solve this issue. So most of Nordic or North Europe has more, let us say, strict dealing with waste, food waste, and generally in waste. Australia, they have a lot of legalization as well, and we have teams there. So we've seen that every year they have white paper or research, and they keep monitoring what they are doing. Again, from personal observation, Singapore has a stronger legislation, and they keep developing this one. So this is from my little knowledge.
I have to agree with you on those reasons for sure, and I think there is a cultural aspect to that. I think there are some solutions that we are seeing, in the U.S., for example, that are helping with that. And again, it's about the diversion of that whole food chain. And the higher up on the food chain you can go, the more effective it is. So, it kills me every time you go in the grocery store and you only pick the most beautiful produce in there, and then all the ones that have the small bruise or a small little blemish on it go in the bin. But they're at least changing some of the legal challenges to divert that food waste to the hungry or to the unhoused population by eliminating any liability concerns. So particularly on restaurants as well, anything that has not gone to a consumer, the restaurant can donate it to a local food bank without any potential legal repercussions. And so that's a great legal solution to provide food to people that need it. So I think there's a lot of good creative examples that really help it at different levels along the food chain.
And also some chain in France for fresh food, after like 1 hour before closing, they give it for 50% or sometime at cost. So again, instead of going so people can get benefit of it. There's many solutions, and it's the whole idea is attention or the believing this, providing the solutions.
Do you see a difference regarding the food waste between the healthier part of society and between the healthier part of society and the poorer part of society? A difference in awareness about it and how they tackle the topic food waste.
See, when you're cooking at home, you have when you cook at home, you have preparation, waste from preparation, and little waste from service or eating. It goes opposite way. If you have less preparation, you waste more. So we can put this equally to poor and rich. You buy the whole pizza, you eat 80% and you throw 20%. Or you buy your own food, you cook it, you generate more waste, and you have less food waste. So you generate more waste in preparation and less food waste from serving it or eating it. But it's difficult to say between or related to rich and poor reason or issue.
I would disagree with that slightly in the fact that scarcity certainly plays a role in what gets consumed. So there's a lot of waste in certain areas because there's certain parts of an animal that we don't eat, for example, or certain parts even of a vegetable that we don't, versus other countries and other areas where food scarcity is a real problem, and they utilize the entire parts and piece of an animal. So I think there does play a role in that. I don't know that that's a solution in any way that solves the issue, but certainly, wealth and abundance are not necessarily conducive to being as responsible as someone that is starving, to be honest.
Any more questions?
Is this working?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I think in London there are lots. This is a question more about sustainability, I think, as a whole. And in London we see more and more places using that almost like a blanket term, that sustainably sourced. And I feel like a lot of places are using it as almost the trend that you've mentioned, that people hopping on the trend, which I feel like it's taken away from the mission of what we're trying to achieve. Like there is no planet B. Is there a way to combat that? That you've mentioned, maybe the law or any rules, because people, maybe they're sustainably sourcing one small part of what they're offering, but they're using that such a blanket, trendy term because it's such a trend and it's taken away from the mission of actually being sustainable when it comes to food waste.
Yeah, I think with anything like that, accountability is really the key. So when you have certain programs like LEAD, for example, there's that's really based on energy. That's all in design. But having to go back and actually confirm that the goals are being met is not necessarily a part of that. Versus other programs like Living Building Challenge have operational confirmation that has to happen. And so I think, when you're just putting it on a menu, that's hard to police. You just can't necessarily trademark the word sustainability and say that you can't use that word. But there are programs and certifications that have more accountability to them and can be more effective to actually achieving the goals that were set forth at the beginning.
So what you mentioned there, they call it greenwash, and it play in bigger scale, because now many institutions, because of the green fund available, they start to go and ask part of this fund to execute or to make some project which has no measure, or they don't have the scientific facts or proof that what they are going to deliver is meet the standard or the regulation what Phillip asked. So, for example, you have our blanket is 40% less, but they don't have scientific reports or any standard proves that it's really 40% less emission or less one. And we're talking about big money here. Last report was in Financial Times. They talk about 70 billion of greenwash, which is everyone would like to be part of it, but he cannot prove which is right or it was the right thing.
I guess on the positive side of this, there's a flip side, is that the social media, and there's much greater scrutiny now. So if you do try to claim that you're something that you're not really, you're going to get found out sooner or later, and it sticks. Yeah. Right. Another question?
I just wanted to ask, in my opinion, the reason why we have food waste is it starts from the reason that we have excessive food production. If we're tackling the challenge of food waste, why not go straight to the core reason of that we are now creating excessive food production in certain parts of the world? And how would you actually try to go from that perspective?
We certainly do. I don't know if you're here at the beginning, but we said that's the most effective way to reduce food waste. So any solutions at that end are certainly the most effective going all the way through. So you don't have to actually waste the energy to make the food. That's even better than having to deal with the food waste at the end of the day. But as we said, there's going to be food waste regardless, from the trimming, the cutting, the stem, the seeds, the rind, that we're going to have to deal with. But certainly the more targeted we can do at the beginning in food production, food transportation, food spoilage, will be far more effective than what happens after post-consumer waste.
Just I give you an example. 20 years ago, if you have your burger, either with ketchup or with mayonnaise. Now you have 16 kind of flavor of the ketchup. You have 16 kind of the flavor of mayonnaise. So it's all consumer trend. So if you'd like to solve the solution, let us start from ourselves. We consume, or we purchase what we're going real to consume. What we'll have it today, so and tomorrow buy fresh one. And also we try to limit our choice. He cannot have everything.
Yeah. On that note, I assume there's no more questions. I don't see any more hands. So thank you so much. Thanks to Phillip. Thanks to Mohamed. Thanks to InSinkErator.
Thank you.
And thanks to you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.